Welcome back, everybody. My name is Taylor Martin. This is the best Damn EDC, and today we're talking about unusual everyday carry gear. So when I plan one of these budget videos that I do, I'll spend a lot of time on Amazon, eBay, a bunch of different websites, just looking at gear, gathering prices, and trying to gauge where I'm going to go with that budget. And in doing so, I end up coming across some pretty weird stuff. It's not weird or unusual in a typical sense, but in terms of everyday carry, it is definitely unusual, maybe off the beaten path, something you haven't heard of, or something you've seen, but you've been a little afraid to pull the trigger on because it seems maybe a little too fringe for your needs, or maybe a little gimmicky. Whatever that may be, I found some of these things, 10 items actually, on Amazon that are mostly everyday carry related, and I bought them. So they're here now, and we're gonna take a look at these 10 unusual everyday carry items. With that said, let's do the damn thing. Maybe I should have rinsed that out a little more when I watched this. It kind of has a little soapy taste to it. Yeah, there's soap on the, wow, I just drank soap. Cool, this is the first item and it looks pretty much like a typical bottle. This is more of a generic one than a name brand. I don't know of a name brand version of a bottle like this, but this is called the Stashit. And for all intents and purposes, it is a functioning bottle. You can just put your water or whatever down in there and it functions. But if you pick this up, you might notice something's a little weird. If it's not totally full, or even if it is totally full, the balance feels off and it's not as heavy as you would expect. And that is because it is also a stash container. So in the bottom, you can put things inside here, keys, cash, whatever you would need to carry with you inside this little container here, and close it up and you're good to go. And I would say, like, most people wouldn't think to check there. The seam is hidden really well. It'd be even better if they could have found a way to hide the seam here, but if you pay close attention, that's the thread. So you can see this thing wasn't made exceptionally well. That's the thread, so it doesn't line up here, so you couldn't hide that seam any better than they really did without spending more money to make this, and this is a cheap product, so they're not gonna do that. But this is, I think, in theory, a pretty cool product. In the actual execution of it, I think they could have done a little better. This one is about $20, so it's not exceptionally expensive or anything. But the weird thing is the weight distribution is off, so it doesn't feel like a normal bottle. And with it having that gap at the bottom, it's a little tippy. It doesn't sit quite as secure as a normal bottle, and it's just not made super well. And this pocket down here, this little container at the bottom, I thought it might be big enough to put a wallet in, even just long ways. It's not. So I think it's very limited. If they were to make one like this in like a 32 ounce or 64 ounce bottle, I think it'd actually be a really good idea because you can still fit stuff in there. And I think it would be more beneficial to do something like this, where you've got just a normal bottle here and this storage container in the bottom part of it. I think it would make more sense to have the bottle extend down to the bottom and have the pocket in the middle. So what I'm saying is have the container that would keep your liquid come down to the bottom, but you have a pocket in the middle that goes further up into the bottle, so the weight distribution isn't off. It doesn't get top heavy. I don't know. But if you are interested in one of these, it is $22, and there are a lot of different versions of this. So I think it's a cool product. Again, execution could be better. If you guys know of one that's 32 ounces or 64 ounces, let me know, because I might be interested in owning one of those. That would be really good. If you're out hiking or something, you can take your stuff with you, your keys and whatnot, and keep them in the bottle and not have to have stuff in your pockets, because typically having stuff in athletic pocket shorts sucks. So something like this is great, but I think there could be a better version of it. As you watch this video, you're gonna learn that there are, I guess, a few themes here. One of them being stash containers or hidden pocket stuff. This one is a belt and it functions as a normal belt. It's just a nylon belt with a nylon buckle. This is not metal, so technically I think this one is like TSA friendly, like you wouldn't have to remove this for TSA, but even so, this is just a normal belt. You thread this through the clasp, push it down, easy, quick release, fast belt, but on the inside you have this long zipper pocket. and you can put cash and other valuables in there when you're traveling or just everyday carry. I've seen people put important things like little tools and stuff that you might need, not very often, something you don't need quick access to, but something you'd like to have on you. Hell, maybe even toothpicks. I think Fowler, who was a winner of the TV show Alone and also has a YouTube channel here, I think he keeps slingshot shot inside his belt. It's not this belt that he uses, but he has a belt like this and he puts slingshot ammo inside the belt, I think. We were in Atlanta for Blade Show last year, and we're just standing in a parking lot, and he just reaches into his belt and pulls out ammo. There are a lot of different uses for this, but its main purpose is putting like cash and other valuables in there for when you're traveling, so that you can have a wallet, but then also have spare cash just for emergency purposes. I think it's fine. It's not the most comfortable belt I've ever worn, but I've been wearing it this week, and I kind of like it. It's not bad. This was actually also very affordable, just $14, $15, and it comes extra long and you cut it to size. So I cut this to the size that I need, but I think that's cool. This one is made by Eagle Creek. There again are a bunch of different versions of this. This is one that I've been looking at for a long time, the Eagle Creek one specifically, but I think it's a pretty cool belt. Really great idea. This could easily be an everyday belt, but if you're traveling especially, that could come in handy, that little pocket there. So the next up we have a carabiner, and I've seen these a lot in recent months, but before that I'd seen them maybe a few times here and there. I've heard them mentioned, but I didn't really know how they worked. I mean, I knew that you could hang stuff from the carabiner, which is really cool, but I think this is one of those products that you have to just get in your hands before you really realize the true potential of it. At its core, it's just a little carabiner. It has a weight capacity of 60 pounds, so it's great for hanging things. But then you notice this little outer part here, this twists and then pivots down, and then you can hang this on things and clip like a backpack. You can hang this over the edge of a door, over a lot of different things. Just hang and clip something to it. I've seen people use these to hang over the edge of a hammock and clip their bags or shoes to their hammock. It's just great for suspending things. If you're going to the restroom and you have a backpack, hang this over the door or over the hook and clip your bag on there. I mean, it's got a million different uses. I've seen people use them to hang bikes up, lots of different uses, and they come in different sizes. This is the medium, I believe, but they have a small and extra small, different sizes, different colors, and I think they're all great. I'm probably gonna purchase more of these because they have infinite uses. They're really handy, but it's gonna be something that this one in particular is gonna stay on my everyday carry backpack. But again, this is called the Hero Clip, and it's just $20, which may seem a little steep for a carabiner, but I think something like this warrants that price. It's got a lot of uses, and it's not just a standard carabiner. Next up is more of a traditional everyday carry item. This is an Opinel. It's a number 9. I thought it was a number 8 when I purchased it. It's a number 9, so it's actually kind of a big knife, but it's just a standard Opinel knife. You've got your collar lock. I think they call it like a Vibra lock, but twist that and you can't close the knife. It is a locking blade, and then you can also lock it closed if you twist this when the knife is shut. So as you can see, it doesn't have the standard Opinel blade shape. It has a sheep's foot blade instead, and then you have these two serrations here. This one is a wire cutter. This one is a wire stripper. And then it has one more trick up its sleeve. You see the bit storage in the handle. That goes right there, and you have a screwdriver just in your pocket with your knife. I think it's a really cool tool. It's not something I think I would put in my EDC, but it's definitely something that I would keep like in a truck, in a center console, in like a truck tool bag. It's a really handy little knife. And then that is actually magnetic retention on the bits there, so they're not gonna fall out either. But this handle is made, I believe, of G10. They just call it fiberglass reinforced handles, but I'm pretty sure it's effectively G10. Really sturdy knife. And the other thing to note is this is the stainless steel. It is not the carbon steel version of the Opinel. And I think, as far as I can find, this is the only configuration. So just keep that in mind if you're looking into one of these, but this is the Opinel number 9 DIY, and that'll set you back about $30. Another thing I get a lot of questions about on this channel, I talk about pens all the time, but I never really talk about mechanical pencils. They are featured in some people's everyday carries that are submitted to the channel, but I don't see a ton of them. I don't hear a ton about them. I don't use a mechanical pencil. And this one popped up, and I thought, hey, that's actually kind of cool. And what it is, it's more of a lead holder than a mechanical pencil. It's not mechanical, really. You're not clicking to advance the lead. It operates on a very similar premise to Big Idea Design's TI Arto EDC, in that you have a little collet here, you twist to loosen, and then you advance your lead with this little slider, which is magnetic. So if you lock this down, this still moves around, the lead does not. And if you loosen it, there's a little neodymium magnet on the inside that will advance the lead to a certain point, and then you can see it doesn't advance any further than that. So this is more of a lead holder than a mechanical pencil. They call it a mechanical pencil. I would call it a lead holder. That's what I learned in drafting class anyway. This is really good if you sketch. You can use this. This is a 2mm lead insert refill. And then once that's locked down, this little magnet just kind of slides around. What you get in the box, you also get a sharpener here, so you can sharpen the lead. And this, which if you take this off, you can remove this collar, I guess is what we're gonna call it, and put this one on. And this one is an anti-roll. So it's got flat spots on it, so it won't roll away, whereas this one is perfectly round and can roll. This one will not. You also get 12 additional 2mm lead refills. And then you also get this little cheap felt pencil slip, which is really cheap. It's a piece of crap. But the pencil itself is actually cool, and it also spins, so it's got a little bit of a fidget factor to it, I guess. I think it's a cool idea, execution's well, and they're only about $15. So this one is the WSD mechanical pencil. Like I said, it's more of a lead holder. If you are a drafting student or somebody who sketches or something, this might be better suited for you, but I think it's really kind of a neat idea. So I'd seen this in my searches on Amazon. It is, I would say, proposed to be almost like an alternative to Olight's S1R Baton 2 or something. It's around the same size, but this is the Immolent LD10 flashlight. And I was very skeptical from the very beginning of this thing. I have taken it out of here and used it some, and there's a reason I put it back in the box. This thing it's not great. It's not something I would recommend, and I'm glad I discovered this so you guys didn't have to. So this is the USB charger that came with it. It immediately broke as soon as I got it out of the box. So this thing is going back to Amazon, but this is your magnetic recharging, and as you can see, these two contacts have to touch here. So the magnets don't line up properly. It just does not stay on here. If anything bumps it whatsoever, I mean, just tiniest little bump, it's not actually charging. And it's not that I'm putting it on there backwards. It doesn't go that way. It goes this way. And it's just a really bad design for the charging cable. So it does have magnetic recharging. It's just really garbage, honestly. And it took me a while to figure out how to use this light, because I mean, you look at it, like, where's the button? That is your mode button. That's your power button. I don't even remember how to use it. The interface on it is really strange. There we go. What? Okay, so there we go. So click to turn on, hold changes your modes. And you do have this little LCD display here. This says 10 lumens, that's your low mode. And you have 150 lumens, 500, 800, and 1200. I think you have to double press, yeah, to get to 1200. But it's the tiniest little button. It sucks. There's not much about this that I'm like super jazzed on. The only cool thing is that it comes with this diffuser, which is really helpful, especially if you want to use a light like this for you know, taking photos or something. It's very handy, but other than that, this thing is not great. I wouldn't say it's the worst flashlight ever. It's only about $30, so it's not super expensive. It is significantly cheaper than the Olight S1R Baton 2, and it is technically brighter, but you don't have a really good button here. The interface is a little wonky. The LCD here is also a little wonky, and you don't have any kind of clip option whatsoever, and it technically has a magnetic tail, but not strong enough to do anything with. That magnetism is actually just coming from the side here, which again, this magnetic recharging is kind of awful. So I would not recommend this light at all. I don't think it's a good light. I don't think it's a good way to spend your money. I would save up for an Olight or get a different flashlight altogether. I think there are many better options. Maybe at $30, the option's a little more scarce, but this is not the one I would recommend. So I heard about Keyport a lot. They come up in recommendations. People have recommended them to me a lot, and I think they have good ideas. And I loved the idea of this, which is a flashlight with a multi-tool. And when it comes to something like this, it's more of a jack of all trades, master of none, right? So this multi-tool is all right. It's like one of the generic inserts you get with a key organizer. It's not anything special. It has a few little hex drivers here, a bottle opener. This is like a package opener. You could probably use it to cut some string. got a little flat head and you have a Phillips, and maybe that could also operate as a pry tool. But it's not like exceptional by any means. It's just something that it'll get you by, right? In a pinch, this is just a shard of metal that you can use for different things. It has a little pocket clip, and then on this side you have a flashlight, which I'm gonna be honest, this flashlight is probably one of the worst ones I've held or used in a very long time. It's not good. I think it's good for like, if you had this on your keys, because Keyport makes key organizers, you know, shine it and find the keyhole, but other than that, it's not so great. The cool part is that it has this little lantern mode, which in a very dark room that could be beneficial, but I mean, it's not a bulb LED. It is like a little LED down in there, but it's just, there's no lens. It's just raw LED, and you can see the fringe here. This is like a yellow fringe and then a very blue beam. It's not focused. It's just kind of a bare LED inside there that just kind of emits light just at random, and it's not great at all. So the cool thing about what Keyport does though is that all of these tools are modular. There's a little tab that you push down in there, and then you can slide the clip off, and then you can also separate the multi-tool and the flashlight. You can add a knife. They have a bunch of different multi-tools and stuff that you can add to these, and you can make it thicker, thinner, whatever. And they also make key organizers. But the thing is that most of their stuff is kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none sort of situation, where it's fine, it's okay, it's not exceptional. And then in the case of this flashlight, it's kind of laughable. Like, will it light up in a dark room? Yeah. But for what you're paying for something like this, it's not really great. The only thing that I could see myself using this for is like if I'm traveling, there's no knife on this. This is TSA friendly. I can take this with me on a plane, and it will work for opening packages. That's one of the things, like when I'm traveling, opening packages or opening products or whatever, when I am traveling, it's tough to do without a knife sometimes. So this would still open those packages while not having to travel with a knife. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's about $35. Definitely not something that I would lust after, but I think it's fine. The next two items kind of go together, but not really. Only sort of. This one we'll start with is the Therm Pro Vault lighter armor. And basically it's like a Zippo replacement. So you can take your insert out of your Zippo and put it in this, and it's waterproof, and you know, it's gonna keep your lighter fluid from evaporating as fast. And it's just, you know, a replacement for a Zippo case. That's really all this is. It's got a little tactical vibe to it and a little clip here so you could attach it to a MOLLE attachment or something. But yeah, that is the Pro Vault from Therm. It's $30 and it is spring loaded, so it does have a little fidget factor to it, I guess, but it doesn't have that clink that you're used to with a Zippo. The reason I picked this up was not necessarily to include it in this video, because I'm sure a lot of people know about these Therm Pro Vault lighter armor things. The idea is that you could basically just not have a Zippo, right? This is the insert I had in there, but I also picked up this, which is a Spark from Power Practical, and it is an arc lighter for a Zippo. So this fits inside a standard Zippo case, and it functions. You have to give it a few seconds after you put it in.
That's what she said.
And you have an arc lighter or a plasma lighter. Pretty cool little refill. Zippo actually makes their own versions of these arc lighters and also butane refills now. The reason I chose the Spark over the first party Zippo is that the Zippo is actually flat. So the plasma or arc part, the probes here are flat, and they're actually kind of recessed inside. And this one, they're out and angled so that you have a little more reach. So the problem with these little plasma or arc lighters is that they don't have a lot of range. You have to get right up on whatever you're trying to light, and this one just gives you a little more accessibility to those probes. But my plan was to get that and put it inside this Therm, and looks like it fits just fine, but when you flip this up and try to close, it won't close. It is just a hair too big. You can get it to close, and then it's just gonna kind of pop open. I didn't touch it. It just popped open on its own. So if I push this, give it a second, it's gonna open on its own. So not all of the Zippo inserts fit the Therm. That's one thing I wanted to talk about, but the other, your Thunderbird, which I have had in this Zippo for a long time, the Thunderbird fits just fine, right? So some of them do fit just fine. Unfortunately, this Spark does not, and I don't think the Zippo replacement ones fit in this either. So that's also the butane from Zippo and the arc lighter from Zippo. They don't fit. Those official Zippo inserts do not fit in the therm. What I do like about this Spark though is that it's battery operated, so that you can recharge it using USB, and it's good for 300 lights at about 10 seconds each. So 3,000 seconds. I don't know how many minutes or hours that is, but that's a lot of lights with this. And I think if I'm taking something camping, I can keep something like this with me rather than having to worry about running out of butane or lighter fluid. But this is the Spark refill for a Zippo. It's gonna set you back about $14. And once again, this is the therm, and it's just like a little armor for a Zippo refill. So it doesn't go over your case, it takes the refill. This will set you back about 30. No, the last one is not just a Bic lighter. The last product is actually a lighter bro. You may or may not have heard of these. I think they're probably pretty niche, but also a pretty cool idea. So let's get this out of here. I might need my knife. I definitely need a knife. So once you get it open, take it out, slide your Bic lighter in. Snaps in. Really cool concept. I think it's kind of a niche item, especially now fewer people are probably carrying Bics around. But on one side, you have a set of scissors. On the other side, you have a little knife. It says super sharp. That ain't super sharp, but I guess you could sharpen it. It also says this right here on the very end is a little flathead. And then I think there's one more tool. I'm not sure where it is. So hard to see. So they say this is a Phillips screwdriver as well as a little poker, I guess for smoking. And I would say these tools are not quite like Swiss Army knife quality, but for the price, I think this thing's pretty neat because you can kind of keep everything in a small little package. Got to get it out of the fan's airstream. Anything that can condense multiple things into one little package, I think is usually, I think, acceptable in my eyes. So even though I don't carry a lighter, having something that can put tools on your lighter without adding a ton of bulk is a good idea. Again, these tools aren't the most robust or stout or even the highest quality, but I think for 15 bucks, you're getting some decent stuff and adding some functionality to something that if you do carry a lighter, just adding a little bit of functionality to it. Maybe not something for me, but for some of you out there, I know that some of you still carry Bic lighters or a lighter in general. It's a cool idea. Maybe it could be refined a little more, but it's also not super expensive at just $15. So of all the stuff I talked about here today, about half of them I would actually buy myself. To be full disclosure, I don't really use a pencil a whole lot, but if I did, I would consider carrying something like this because it's pretty robust. It's got some fidget factor to it, but I like the idea of a lead holder. This Hero clip, this is going on my bag and staying there, and I am going to order some more of these because I really like the idea of this Hero clip. This right here, I'm not a huge Opinel fan, or Opinel, whichever one you want to say. I'm not a massive fan of their stuff. I think they make good stuff, especially for the price. This one's a little more expensive, but this one packs a lot into one little product without really skimping on anything. You're not sacrificing anything for this. The grip's still fine. It feels good in the hand. You don't have to worry about anything. It's just great design, simple idea with a really great execution. And then these two little Zippo items, so your therm and your arc lighter insert. I have a Thunderbird in here, so this one's butane. All of these things I think are great. Honestly, the therm is a little tactical, but I think it's also got a purpose. This one is gonna go in the truck bag that I keep in my truck, replacing this little brass one because I think it just makes a little more sense. And this one's actually been in my pocket for a few days. I enjoy it. I think there's a lot of gimmick and novelty to the arc lighter, but there's also some practicality to it in just how much you can use this thing without needing to charge it. Also, I don't want to forget the belt. The belt is one that I'm actually looking forward to keeping and using. So these 6 products, I think of all these 10 that I picked, are actually good and probably worth the money. The one that I wished were better is this Stash bottle. So if I can find a 32 ounce or 64 ounce version similar to this, but with better build, I'd buy it all day. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good success rate out of the items that I picked up, I thought that most of them were going to be junk, and a lot of them turned out to be actually really good. That is going to do it for this video. If you found it helpful and you enjoyed it, be sure to hit that thumbs up button down below and subscribe to see more stuff like this in the future, and hit that notification bell so you're notified when I upload new videos. If you want to support what I'm doing here, hit the link down below. Anything you saw in this video, as well as stuff I typically carry, it's all going to be linked down below. They are typically affiliate links, so if you purchase anything using those links, I will get a little bit of a kickback. You can also support what I'm doing here by going to patreon.com/bestmedc or carrycommission.com. That's my store where you can buy merch and gear directly from me. You can also go to carry.best to get to the same place. Be sure to follow us around the web. You can find us in most places at Best MEDC. There's also a Facebook group. It's linked down below, as well as a Discord server. But with that said, and until next time, carry on.